Hello. Hello everyone. Welcome back to some more reaction. Today we are doing more parts. I found a compilation. Thanks to, of course, shout out to Telecom for making it, for having some compilations of basically all of his fucking reactions. No, all of his videos. So otherwise, this is all more parts, and apparently something pretty crazy is going on in Australia, and I'm not sure if I am excited to figure out what the fuck is going down in Australia.
Australia has a lot of spiders, but recently we found a new one, because of course we fucking did. And the new one is the most certified Australia moment I've ever seen. For a bit of context, one of the several thousand spider species we are home to
10,000 spiders, holy shit.
is the Sydney funnel web, the deadliest spider on the planet. Because of course it's down here. Where the fuck else did you think you were going to find it? These scary looking fuckers are highly venomous and can flatline you with a bite in 15 minutes. And if you think wearing thick clothes will save you, be aware the bastards have fangs long enough to punch through shoe leather. Now, why do I bring these little nightmares up? What is the one thing worse than a spider rocking armor-piercing rounds that can send you to heaven with same-day delivery? A bigger spider rocking the same perk setup. That's right, Australian scientists have found a brand new species of this funnel web that is even bigger. How much bigger? Well, the standard Sydney funnel web grows to around 5 centimetres or 2 inches. And I mean, if you're asking me, 2 inches is more than enough. 2 inches is actually fucking huge. By comparison, this is the new one. It's twice the fucking size, cunt. 4 inches of 8-legged menace to the animal kingdom. But that isn't even the best part. You see, do you know what they named this thing? Do you know what professional scientists named a supersized version of the most dangerous spider on the entire fucking planet? The Newcastle Big Boy. Deadliest spider on the entire fucking globe.
Just
Big Boy. Only in Australia.
Big boy.
Platypus are weird, but I'm not sure you quite understand just how fucking weird. See, everyone knows the basics. They lay eggs, they sweat milk, and they look like God hit randomizer on the spore creature creator and just called it a day. But you see, mate, that's barely even scratching the surface of weird platypus features. First up, as is the qualifier for any Australian animal, did you know they're venomous?
What? I was just about to say, oh, because she's so cute. Look at it. Wait. They're venomous?
No, I'm not fucking with you. You heard me correctly. Male platypus actually have venomous spurs on their hind legs. These spurs are multi-purpose, acting as defense from predators, as well as a tool for throwing hands with other male platypus during mating season. And while their venom is non-lethal, that doesn't mean that getting stung by them doesn't fucking suck. See, platypus venom can cause extreme pain and swelling, and to ensure you remember not to fuck with them again, these effects can last for several months and have no treatment or anti-venom. So if Perry stabs your shit, your only option is to cry about it. Next on the list of offensive capabilities, I shit you not, platypus share the same hunting method as sharks. You see, that big-ass bill isn't just for show, as it contains enough surveillance equipment to make the CIA blush. Possessing the ability to sense changes in pressure in the water, but most importantly, containing electroreceptors that track electrical signals from muscle contractions made by their prey. Meaning that when whatever they're chasing starts quaking in fear, they know about it. And last but not least, as if those things weren't already unbelievable, we recently discovered something new. Platypus are fucking biofluorescent.
Huh?
They glow. If you hit these things with a black light, they go bright fucking green. And the best part of that is, we have no clue why they do it. I mean, I guess it just means Perry was a biblically accurate platypus man. I give up, man. Who fucking designed this thing? Stepping on this rock could straight up paralyze you. That's because this isn't actually a rock. That is a stonefish, a species of underwater menace native to Australia. And coming as a surprise to absolutely no one, it is also the most venomous fish in the ocean. Because of course it is. As if the fucking snakes and spiders weren't enough, now I can get packed up by a pet rock. But why is this Pokemon reject such a threat to my mental health? Well, you see, stonefish use their special venom for defense. However, unlike most other animals that do this little f***er doesn't have the decency to dress like a neon sign to warn you. No. This bastard is a 6th prestige prop hunt veteran, having evolved some of the most impressive camouflage in the animal kingdom to make hunting easier. And once they've set themselves up, they are basically indistinguishable from Patrick Starr's house. Now, this is a fairly major problem as they love to live in the shallows on the beach, and that venom we talked about earlier is stored in these 13 giant, highly toxic spines that deliver venom when pressed on. You can probably see where I'm going with this. Considering it's hard enough to spot these things while you're paying attention, if you were, say, on a romantic walk along the beach with one of the homies, and while distracted by his ethereal beauty, weren't paying too much attention to where you were walking, it would be very easy to place your foot in the wrong spot and step directly onto 13 hypodermic needles, which would then deliver a ginormous dose of neurotoxin straight into your system. Oh, you thought it was normal venom? No. You see, these things maxed out the toxin skill tree, producing a mixture of 2 neurotoxins that can flatline you by collapsing your heart and lungs in under an hour. And even if you survive, the sting still causes extreme pain, swelling, and tissue necrosis. Because this is Australia, where even the scenery is trying to one-shot me.
Okay, if he's not gonna show tissue necrosis, I'm not gonna search it out.
This bird can straight hit you with a Mortal Kombat fatality.
So how the fuck does it do that? It's a fucking bird.
Finish him.
Introducing the cassowary, a species of ratite native to the land down under. And for once, guys, it's not venomous. Can still flatline you though, and I'm going to tell you how. You see, these neon chickens belong to the same family of birds as the emu, and as such share their impressive size, coming in at a solid...
We would play something. I mean, why not watch fucking Australia shit?
79 kilos
Stupid
and growing up to 6 feet tall, meaning the short kings in my audience could, in theory, mount these things like a chocobo. But what makes them stick out from emus? Well, you see, the cassowary is basically a spec ops emu, being twice the weight, highly territorial, and most importantly, coming with a combat knife strapped to their foot. That's right, this is a cassowary claw, and it's the reason they can hit you with a fighting game finisher. You see, these claws are a full 5 inches long. And you know, I mean, honestly, 5 inches, way too big for anything, and especially if it's something that's going inside me. And if you anger the tactical assault turkey, that is exactly what you're gonna get, as their go-to defense method is to kick you square in the gut with that kitchen knife and attempt to disembowel you. And I mean, even if the kick doesn't put your insides on the outsides, that kick is still going to send you flying, which can cause some fairly major problems. Problems like the incident that occurred in 2012, where you not, a cassowary ran up behind a random tourist, hit the heavy attack button, and kicked the guy down a small cliff into the ocean. I mean, luckily he survived, but the fact that I live in a country where at any point I could be hit with a sneak attack by a kaiju turkey is terrifying.
Chicken, I guess. That's one hit. One hell of a chicken.
Touching this plant will put you in the hospital.
I'm dying.
This is the Gimpy Gimpy plant, a piece of foliage native to the...
You can't say that I'll touch it and then die, and then say that its name is fucking Gimpy Gimpy Gimpy. This bird should be in the Jurassic Park movie. True.
And surprising no one, not only is the thing venomous, it is in fact the most painful plant on the planet. Because yeah, no, of course, man, even the fucking leaves down here have a problem with me. Growing in the rainforests of northern Queensland, these hell bushes are covered in tiny hairs that upon closer inspection aren't hairs at all and are actually thousands of hypodermic needles waiting to stab you and break off inside your skin if you so much as brush them. Once inside you, these needles will inject you with, I am not kidding, neurotoxin and cause absolutely excruciating pain.
Neurotoxin, of course.
I mean, like comedic levels of pain. With one person describing it as being covered in hot acid and electrocuted, and another woman saying that it was straight up more painful than childbirth and she'd given birth 4 times. And the Up part is the neurotoxin isn't even lethal. So this
Oh my God.
spiteful of a plant
just going
is
to
hurting you
hurt you
purely for the
fun.
love of the game. Mind you, there are reports of people saying getting stung by this thing is actually worse than being put in the ground. This is because Groot's little hellspawn cousin here can continue hurting you for literal years after being stung. This is because those thousands of little hypodermic needles are actually made out of silicon, meaning your body can't break them down. And with how thin they are, your skin will usually close up over the top of them, meaning that these neurotoxin emitting slivers can sit inside your skin for literal years, releasing more neurotoxin anytime that they're moved or disturbed. This constant, chronic, agonizing pain is so unbelievably bad that there have even been records of, trying not to get banned here,
Thank you.
people Alt F4ing existence to make it stop. This particular incident
that
came from a
bad?
man who accidentally used one of the plant leaves as toilet paper.
Okay, yeah, okay.
I don't think it gets much worse than neurotoxin to the nuts.
Okay, yeah. Right over here. As a guy, I
Crocodiles
do
are
understand
just
that.
dinosaurs that forgot to go extinct. I am
Yes.
dead serious, and I cannot
I
think
know.
of a croc species to
They're
better make my point
fucking
than the saltwater
terrifying.
crocodile, a species native to the land down under, and shocking absolutely no one. Yes, it can and will.
Oh my God, it's
Eat you.
there.
You see, keeping on theme with the whole forgetting to go extinct thing, the Salties stat spread just feels like something that should have been
Damn.
patched out with the rest of Jurassic Park, starting with their ridiculous size. You see, Salties are the largest reptile on the planet, coming in at a total of 6 fucking meters long with a maximum weight of 1,100 kilos.
Huh? It's that big? God damn it. I thought
Which makes this murder lizard genuinely longer than my fucking car.
God
That
damn.
part is that despite being longer than my ute, they
It's
are for
absolute-
some reason
It's good at
absolute
hiding, yeah.
masters of stealth.
Oh my
See, crocs are ambush
God.
predators, which is a scientific way of saying they are dirty fucking campers. You see, they've got 2 raised eyes that sit on the top of their heads, which means they can submerge their Ford Falcon-sized frame basically entirely under the water without sacrificing the ability to spot whatever they are looking to turn into a Happy Meal. And from your perspective as the Happy Meal, they are really difficult to see, which makes it
Wait, what?
very... As the Happy Meal, they are really difficult
Oh my God.
to
I would
see,
not be
which
able to
makes
tell.
it
Holy
very easy to walk just a little too close and, yeah, get bitten in half by that hydraulic press that they call a mouth.
That's why I love Nestle Crunch.
That's
Oh
right,
my
just
God.
like any good camper, these scaly arseholes are packing a one-shot in the form of one of the highest bite forces of any animal on the f***ing planet, having been recorded at putting out a maximum of 3,700 psi of force through their jaws. To put that into context, your skull
what?
will crack at 1,100 psi, so a croc would pop your head like a watermelon. And if you don't immediately get folded by the first bite, those jaws will latch onto you as the croc begins a death roll, spitting its ton of body weight like a washing
Yeah, no
machine
thanks.
until whatever part of you it has decided to eat snaps off and is added to its protein goals. But the best thing about the crocodile is their build is so f***ing good. They have genuinely been around with very little evolutionary change for 65 million years. Which means I grew up watching Steve Irwin wrestle dinosaurs for fun. Rest in peace, you absolute f***ing legend.
Oh, thank God.
Koalas are really dumb. In fact, Australia's fuzzy
Yeah,
icon
don't
is
they have a
probably the
smooth
dumbest
brain?
thing on the planet. And that stupidity starts with their diet, because of all the things they could have chosen to eat,
Don't they have like a fucking smooth brain or something? I feel like they have a smooth brain.
they chose to eat nothing but straight up poison. You see, koalas feed exclusively on eucalyptus leaves, which, shocking no one, are highly toxic, because they are full to the brim with eucalypt oil, which is so fucking poisonous that as little as 3.75 mil is enough to land you in the afterlife, with the Reaper asking you why the fuck you felt the need to eat a leaf.
Why?
Oh, it's also highly flammable and burns like napalm, because Australia. Now, despite nature putting up this giant do not eat sign, that did not stop the koala, because he can't fucking read. This suboptimal bulking diet not only gives the koala fuck all in the way of nutrition, but also requires their body to rest to filter out the toxins so they don't fucking cark it. Meaning they need to spend upwards of 18 hours a day sleeping in order to just digest their fucking food. These dumbasses spend most of their life in a food coma. That is, however, if they even get to the food to begin with, because they are so
God, he's so
mind-numbingly brain dead that they will not recognize a eucalyptus leaf as food unless it is on the branch. I could give this dumbass a lifetime supply of food, and if it wasn't on a stick, he would starve to death. It should come as no surprise to you at this point that the koala has such an esky temperature IQ that they literally have a smooth brain. The thoughts slide right off of this dumb c***. I love him.
He might be stupid, but God, are they ever cute?
This wasp is basically a xenomorph. Introducing the tarantula hawk wasp, possibly one of the most nightmare-inducing insects on the planet. And the reason it's such a threat to your mental health is because its hunting and reproduction strategy is ripped straight from Ellen Ripley's autobiography. But before we get to the strats, you're gonna have to learn a little bit about it first. Native to Australia, because of course it fucking is, this fucker is the largest wasp on the planet, coming in at a massive 2.5 inches. Which, I mean, boys, we would all agree, well above average, right? Huge. And this is probably the most effective 2 inches has ever been, because it has the second most painful sting of any insect on the planet, coming in just barely behind the bullet ant. Pack and a half-inch stinger with a potent venom that has been described as blinding, debilitating, and electric. Now, the size and poison aren't just for nothing, because as the name tarantula hawk wasp suggests, they are purpose-built, genetically perfect killing machines designed specifically to violate spiders, making Australia basically an all-you-can-eat buffet for them. But they don't just execute the spiders. No, that'd be too normal. Hawk wasps use spiders to reproduce in one of the most horrific ways possible. And that all starts with a female hawk wasp hunting down a tarantula. As the buff bulking spider takes a wrong turn down a dark alley, the hawk wasp, noticing the 8 sets of PNs on his feet, proceeds to fucking jump him, flying down from above to land a sting into the spider's abdomen, instantly and permanently paralysing it. The Bug Harbour Butcher then proceeds to drag the still completely conscious and aware spider into an isolated kill room, which is where the fucked up part really begins. Because our wasp isn't hungry, it's pregnant, and proceeds to lay its egg on the paralysed spider's abdomen. After about 3 to 4 days, that egg hatches into a larvae. A very, very hungry larvae. Fortunately, there's a whole bunch of fresh fruit right here underneath them. That food being the still paralysed, still very conscious and aware spider. The larvae burrows into the spider's abdomen and gets to work converting it into a KFC family bucket, consuming it from the inside out, purposely avoiding vital organs to keep the food nice and fresh. After it's done consuming a living being, the larvae breaks forth from the demolished corpse like a fucking chest burster and fucks off to continue the generational arachnid violation. Anywho, good luck getting any sleep tonight.
Thanks.
A gorilla can't beat 100 men in a fight. He gets jumped. But that begs the question, which animal does win? And the answer, stepping into the ring at 5 meters long and weighing in at a genuinely frightening 4,500 kilos, I present to you the hippopotamus. hippopotamus!
Morning!
Yeah, look, a hippo causing a 100-long line at the gates of heaven after a fight is honestly pretty plausible. You see, despite the fantastic PR work Mudang has done for the hippopotamus community,
Chibi dog. Morning!
doesn't change the fact that Moto here is a sentient Ford F-150, the temperament of a fucking serial killer who can win this fight for one very specific reason. You can't fucking hurt it.
What?
You say the hippopotamus is possibly the tankiest land animal on the fucking planet, packing an unbelievably thick 2-inch hide. Now look, we all know 2 inches is a lot, especially in the sheets, but in the streets of the African savannah, this makes them practically
Oh, he did the
Don't
joke
believe
over.
me? Here is a hippopotamus walking away from 10 lions trying to convert it into a family meal.
What?
Notice how the hippopotamus does not give a single fuck. If Mufasa and his extended family can't hurt it, neither can you. However, don't let the fact that it's walking away fool you here. The hippopotamus is not a peaceful animal. They are, in fact, violent, psychopathic, 4.5-ton thundercats that can and will bite you in half. A hippo's jaw produces 2,000 psi
Yeah, that's
of
nearly
pure crushing
double.
force. So if he catches your ass, you are the watermelon. And as if the hydraulic press wasn't bad enough, don't forget they've got two 20-inch fangs in that mouth that'll put a hole in you big enough to stick your f***ing arm through. But honestly, the bite doesn't even f***ing matter.
20
It
inches is way
weighs
too much.
4.5 tons and can run at 30k an hour.
Huh?
Getting hit by a charging hippo is like getting hit by a
A fucking
fucking
bus.
There is no
God.
way we are winning a fight against something that could probably take out 10 people just by rolling over.
Fat, chunky boy.
In summary, don't f with the hungry hippo.
Oh my god. Crocodile got
Komodo
fucking
dragons
jumped.
are horror villains. I mean, seriously, this industrial-sized lizard is easily one of the biggest assholes in the animal kingdom when it comes to hunting methods, packing a PhD in
So
suffering
cool.
and a double degree in biological warfare purely because they cannot be expending effort to hunt. You see, Godzilla's little cousin here is the largest lizard in the world, weighing up to 166 kilos and being a full 3.13 meters in length, which means, for the short kings in my audience, if you're brave enough, bang a motor transport right there. Now, being the reptile equivalent of a Cadillac Escalade means that the Komodo dragon needs to consume a lot of calories to keep that bulk going. However, rather than using that bulk to proactively chase down and body slam its prey,
It can't be that fast.
they can
It's so-
take down prey 3
Slow
times their size, because as if being a reptilian tank was not enough, they are also venomous. And this isn't just your run-of-the-mill snake venom that, you know, gives you a nice quick 15-minute death. No. A Komodo hunt starts with it running up to its prey and giving it a nice big chomp on the leg, injecting it with hemorrhagic venom.
Oh.
After biting, the Komodo dragon off and just sits there watching. The confused and bewildered animal runs off into the forest, leaking blood, allowing that Komodo dragon to track it like a DoorDash order. A week goes by,
Old
and
buffalo.
that bite wound isn't closing because hemorrhagic venom prevents blood clots. So, the animal is still slowly bleeding out, and the Komodo is still watching. More time passes. That bite wound gets infected because Komodos are carrion feeders, meaning that the inside of their mouth is full of enough rotting flesh and bacteria to give Asmongold a run for his money. The infection begins to drain the animal's strength, and the Komodo is still watching. Another week passes. The infection
Another week.
has spread, and the flesh has begun to rot. And you best believe that ass lizard is still there watching like he's waiting for his meal to heat up in the microwave. Once the bleeding, disease-ridden animal becomes too exhausted to move on its own and collapses, the Komodo
Oh my
strolls over
god.
and eats it alive, shredding it into chunks if it's larger, or if it's small enough, swallowing it whole as it screams on the way down. Even for me, man, that's fucked. This is the deadliest snake in the world. Introducing the inland taipan, and being the deadliest venom noodle in the world, I will give you exactly one guess
Australia.
as to where it's found.
I should have that down.
It's Australia, of course. It's
Yeah.
fucking Australia. Be so serious here. Where the else did you think you were going to find it? Canada? More specifically, as the name suggests, the taipan is found inland in the outback. Luckily, extremely far from civilization, because this homicidal hospital hose is the definition of size doesn't matter. Because despite having extremely small fangs for a venomous snake, coming in at only 6.2 millimeters, the taipan is here to show you that you absolutely fucking can feel less than an inch, because those fangs contain the statistically deadliest snake venom on the
fucking jokes, man. They're-
planet.
They're killing me.
Yeah, taipan venom is a pina colada of pain, containing, but not limited to, hemotoxins to cause blood clots, myotoxins for paralysis and necrosis, nephrotoxins to shut down your kidneys, and 3 different kinds of neurotoxin. Needless to say, if it
Sure, more
bites
than
you,
6
you will
different
get a
types
headache,
of toxins.
vomit up the
Cool.
entire contents of your stomach, collapse to the ground in agonizing pain, and then your heart and lungs will stop, sending you to meet God in under 15 minutes. And that venom is so fucking potent that one bite contains enough toxin to do that to 100
Yep,
people.
cool.
But the funniest part of this snake's venom is that in the wild, they only hunt rats and f***ing mice. The
What?
deadliest venom on the planet,
Wait, so
and
they
they are
don't hunt
using
any-
it to
they don't
pack
even
up
hunt bunnies?
Remy the rat. It's like
I
hunting
thought they
a
were
rabbit
at
with a
least hunt
fucking
like
orb.
bunnies.
That's the cutest f***ing thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
This adorable little octopus is
Yours,
also the world's
tiny.
deadliest.
Oh my god.
Introducing the blue-ringed octopus,
Anything
a species of
cute
cephalopod
is
native to Australia,
going
and
to
in a
pack
shock
me
to
up and send me to
precisely
God.
0 people at this point, it's venomous. Because of course it's fucking venomous. Why wouldn't it be venomous? That'd make my life way too fucking easy. Now, to its
I'm
credit,
just happy I
unlike
learned
most
that
of the toxic bullshit in this hellscape I call home, they at least have the common decency to be coloured like a fucking neon sign. However, it immediately loses this credit by being the octopus equivalent of a fucking hobbit, coming in smaller than a 50-cent coin. And
Fully
this is a
stretched
problem,
out.
because it is the most venomous octopus in the world. That's right, this fluoro spaghetti ball is packed to the brim with neurotoxin, more specifically, tetrodotoxin. You know, the same shit that turns cooking a puff fish into a quick time event? Yeah, these little guys are packing it too. However, because it is Australian, the blue-ringed octopus is on violence timing and is the only animal in the world to use this shit as an offensive measure by way of a venomous bite. But what does the venom actually do? Well, imagine you're wading through the rock pools with the homies, and you accidentally disturb this little gentleman's residence. The blue ring, taking the American approach to home defense, suctions onto your leg and bites you. Best part, it's completely painless. So if you're distracted by how thick your mate's looking in those Speedos, you aren't going to feel shit. That is, until your face starts tingling like TV static. It's warm out here under the sun, but you weren't sweating like this 5 minutes ago, and now you got a headache. You start to feel sick, weak. You go to call out, but your voice comes out slurred like you just knocked back a bottle of vodka.
2 shots of vodka.
And
That's
then
not 2
suddenly,
shots.
your legs come out from under you, and you hit the beach. Fun fact about tetrodotoxin. It's a paralytic. Freezes up your muscles one by one, starting with your arms and legs, which is why you're kissing the sand. You know what else is a muscle? Your diaphragm, the muscle that controls your breathing. And yeah, turns those bad boys off too. And so, your chest stops rising and falling, and you suffocate to death right there on the beach. Now, you may be wondering, how come no one called an ambulance? That's easy. They didn't have time to. You went up to meet your ancestors in under 20 minutes. God ordered your ass with same-day shipping, and this little fucker delivered. Employee of the month. This shrimp can cause explosions.
My main goal is to blow up.
Introducing the mantis shrimp, native to the West Indo-Pacific Ocean and possibly the coolest crustacean under the sea, because this fluorescent armoured sausage is actually a voracious, bloodthirsty predator rocking enough surveillance equipment to scare the CIA with a weapon powerful enough to surpass Metal Gear. See, the mantis shrimp is a highly effective predator, and they find and track their prey with easily the most advanced set of eyes on the fucking planet. First off, each of these eye stalks can rotate independently like a periscope, giving them a full 360 degrees of vision. However, more importantly, they can see colours we can't. You see, the mantis shrimp's eyes contain a full 15 photoreceptor cones
69.
compared to our 3. Which is a fancy way of saying they can see in 16K HDR with ray tracing enabled at 500 render distance.
Oh my PC.
Now, not only is the visual clarity unmatched, they can also see into the infrared and ultraviolet light spectrums. And despite all of this, they still can't find who asked. What they can, however, find is their next meal. The mantis shrimp subsists on a diet of fish, worms, Squidward, and, most importantly, Mr. Krabs. Now, crabs famously exist inside of a defensive shell. So, how does this polite little gentleman break into the shell? Simple. He throws hands. That's right, weighing in at only 90 grams and 38 centimeters in length, the mantis shrimp has a punch that produces 15,000 newtons of force. That is 176 newtons per gram. So if a human was capable of that same kind of force, a right hook from someone who weighs 80 kilo would be like getting hit in the face with 6 sticks of dynamite. Now, to produce that force, its claw needs to be moving at 83 kilometers an hour, which is so fast it creates a vacuum in the water called a cavitation bubble, which then immediately collapses at such a speed it creates a miniature explosion that flashbangs the target and reaches a temperature hotter than the surface of the sun. Mr. Krabs is getting disintegrated.
They're throwing suns?
Money.
So these guys can literally just say, hey, son. What? I didn't get hit in the fucking shin with that. Holy shit.
Most snails aren't scary, except for this one. This one's Australian.
Of course.
Introducing the cone snail, an aquatic mollusk native to the land down under. And as seems to be the requirement when sharing your postcode with a kangaroo,
Pack you up,
you
right?
guessed it. It can quite easily cause your neck snap to be in a coffin. And the way it can achieve it is this bad boy right here. You see, despite most snails having a reputation for being slow goobers that get folded by a salt shaker, the cone snail is a highly effective ambush predator. And you may be wondering, how the fuck does a creature that moves slower than the GTA 6 development cycle hunt anything? Well, that's simple. It has a grappling hook. That's right, Gary's murderous little cousin here is a roadhog, mate.
Hi there.
And he hunts by slowly but surely stalking up on his prey until he's just within range, and then bang! The cone snail does a quarter circle input, spitting out a tooth harpoon at 90 kilometers an hour. This harpoon then nails its prey, allowing them to reel it in like he's playing Scorpion. And in case that wasn't bad enough, as seems to be a requirement for spawning on Australian servers, it's venomous. That harpoon also injects its prey with a highly potent neurotoxin that instantly paralyzes it. This means it cannot put up a fight, as it is sucked into the snail's ginormous maw like a nightmarish version of Kirby. And, just in case you thought for once you might be safe, cone snail venom is potent enough to kill 700 people with one sting. Oh, yeah, and there's no anti-venom. Because it's not enough that it can kill me. No, I have to die knowing there is zero counterplay. Who balanced this shit?
I lost the malts clean.
If you see this thing T-pose, run. Introduce.
What is scary about an anteater T-posing?
The anteater, a goofy little creature native to Brazil, and to understand why the absolute stance on this bad boy is a threat to your health, you're going to have to understand a little about his lifestyle first. Now listen, I know this may come as a shock to you, but the anteater eats ants. And weighing 40 kilos and 1.8 meters in length, he needs to
Still taller than you, fuckface.
consume upwards of 40,000 ants per day. Now, in order to help him hit his bulking goals, the anteater has a mystery mouse tool stored inside that XL sniffer.
Tongue.
A 60 centimeter long tongue. Designed to snake its way down an ant colony's tunnel network, smash into their living room, and abduct the entire cast of Bug's life and convert them into a high-calorie meal. However, what that tongue do only goes so far, as an ant colony can extend up to 4 meters underground, and termites live in high-rises, which means our boy here is going to have to do a little excavation to get to the goods. But last I checked, an anteater can't go down to Bunnings and buy a shovel. So how does he dig? Oh, that's simple, with the combat knives he has for claws.
Why does everything need a combat knife? First the cassowary, now this fucking anteater.
Yeah, anteaters are permanently cosplaying Freddy Krueger, with a set of 4-inch claws, which, proving the effectiveness of a few inches, can crack through f***ing concrete.
Huh?
Now, these work great for digging, but they are also more than capable of flatlining you. When threatened, the anteater will rear up into a defensive T-pose. This is your sign, if you are smart, to turn around and fuck all the way off. If, however, you were, say, some dumbass trophy hunter who really felt the need to try and stab an animal for no reason other than ego, the anteater will swipe at you with those claws, which are at the perfect height to nail you in a thigh, slip through your flesh like butter, and sever your femoral artery, causing you to bleed out in 2 minutes while the anteater watches you go meet your ancestors. Can you imagine having to explain to your ancestors who felled woolly mammoths you got your shit packed up by the most unserious creature on the planet hitting a T-pose? Australia's scariest spider is hiding a deep secret. But what is it? Well, introducing the Huntsman, native to the land down under.
No. See, I'm not usually afraid of spiders, but now, what's so big?
Number one
I don't
cause
like that.
of tourists absolutely shitting themselves on camera.
Who wouldn't?
And look, in defense of said tourists,
And it
I will be
jumps.
the first to admit, yeah, this looks scarier than a job application. Those gangly ass legs and the hair make him look like Slender Man's testicle. Now, as if having a negative charisma stat wasn't bad enough, I regret to inform you that the Huntsman spider grows up to 30 centimeters in size, making it the largest spider on the planet by leg span, and legally allowing Subway to market him as a foot long. Now, being the spider equivalent of a Ford F-150, you'd think he'd have the common decency to be slow, you know, tank build. Unfortunately, the Huntsman is f***ing turbocharged. Now, it's usually at this point in the video that I would inform you that he is also highly venomous, because it's Australia. However, that's his big secret.
Oh, he's not.
The Huntsman is a big sweetheart. You see, despite looking like an SCP, huntsmen are incredibly timid, and on the rare occasion they do bite, their venom is harmless. In fact, seeing one of these bad boys in your house is a blessing in disguise, because if you see a huntsman in your home, I guarantee you won't see any annoying ass flies or mosquitoes, because he's eaten them. You see, he understands he's big enough that he should be paying rent, and so he contributes to the household in pest control.
Alright.
I personally have had one of these bad boys as an 8-legged roommate, and I can tell you they're pretty good company. Except for the part where they cause car crashes.
They fucking
Yeah,
what?
you see, huntsmen like to hide in tight spaces and cracks, and they do it by flattening out their body to fit into the gap. Now, in the house, that usually means you'll just find them behind a painting, but when you're flying down the highway at 110k an hour and decide to flip down the sun visor because God is trying to flashbang you,
No.
yeah, they like to sleep in there and you've just dropped one into your lap. Now, whatever you do, don't panic or you're gonna crash the...
Alright. Next video. Same guy. Can it fucking load?
This seal is such a menace that he routinely gets the cops called on him.
What?
Introducing our protagonist, Neil the Seal, a 600-kilo absolute unit of a southern elephant seal from my home state of Tasmania in the land down under, who is known for, above all else, being an absolute fucking menace to polite society. But despite his crimes, we all still truly love him. But what are his crimes? Well, see, he seems to just fucking hate traffic cones and road safety in general, has regularly been caught trespassing, and then once he has been caught trespassing, belligerently screaming at locals because they won't give him his fucking fish, and has been known to just block roads by plopping his fat ass down directly in the middle of it. However, hands down, the funniest shit he has ever done was just straight stopping this random lady from going to work. I shit you not. This motherfucker crawled out of the ocean, up the beach, crossed the road, absolutely fucking bodied this woman's poor letterbox, and then proceeded to plant himself directly in front of her fucking car. She was then unable to go to work because this half-ton beefcake was camping her driveway for so damn long. Local news had time to drive out to her house and cover the fucking story. Now, this is a lot of menace for a single seal to cause, but the funniest part of this is, old mate isn't even fully grown. He's like 5 years old. If you think he can fuck things up now, wait until he's nearly 2 solid-ass tons of blubber and takes issue with the wall of your house. I do not think that seal damage is covered on my fucking insurance plan, dude. People get shocked when I whip out like a flawless American accent, because I've got like a really thick Australian one, right? But I am not above just... Dude, I can't wait to go get like burgers later, man. I'm like so hyped for burgers, dude. I fucking love cheeseburgers. Dude, you been watching the NFL? Super Bowl was crazy this year, man.
What?
Eagles just like fucking dumpstered the Chiefs, bro.
I thought it was Australia.
It was crazy. Australia lost a war to emus.
I've heard about
But
this,
how?
yeah.
How the f*** did we lose an armed conflict with flightless birds? Well, it all started in 1932 when farmers
heard
in
about
Western
this.
Australia wanted to grow wheat. There was just one major problem. That's emu territory, and emus really like wheat. And coming in at 6 foot tall and 40 kilos in weight, they can eat a lot of it. So when breeding season came around, the emus migrated through the farmland, and these poor farmers were overwhelmed by a tyrannid swarm of man-sized poultry, 20,000 emus strong. These feathered tanks then proceeded to completely steamroll through the fences, into the fields, and started laying waste to the wheat. The farmers attempted to fight back the initial wave with rifle fire, but their efforts were, putting it lightly, completely useless. This ginormous L made the farmers pretty bloody angry, so they gathered together and went to the government to ask for help. Sir, 20,000 emus have hit the wheat fields. Fuck me, mate. And so the government declared the emus enemies of the state and sent in the army to commence the Great Emu War. The entire 7th Heavy Artillery Division was deployed to WA, armed with 2 LMGs, 10,000 rounds, and the sole objective to blast anything with feathers. A little bit excessive for an overgrown turkey if you ask me, and upon their first deployment, the army immediately ran into a major problem. Emus are fast.
I am speed.
Really
fast?
Fast, clocking a top speed of 50 kilometers an hour, which meant
Alright.
that once they opened
Yep,
fire,
they're fast.
the emus would immediately bolt out of range of their weapons. But they still took a crack at it, and then immediately stopped when both LMGs jammed after only dropping 12 emus. This embarrassment led the army to
Only
retreat and
12?
rethink their plan. So a few weeks later they returned, this time mounting the LMGs on trucks in an attempt to run the birds down. However, this also didn't work, because after figuring out that those trucks meant they were about to be turned into a KFC family bucket, the emus started leaving scout birds who would warn the flock of the approaching trucks, which gave them all enough time to book it before the army even got there. And whenever they did catch the emus, they found out they were kind of... Because emus are mostly feathers, and there's a lot of places you can hit on them without doing any damage, meaning it was taking around 10 bullets for every 1 bird. So after a month of blood, sweat,
Alright.
tears, and 10,000 rounds of ammunition, the army managed to bring down 960.
Not
The
even
population
1,000.
was 20,000. This was an issue as, unlike America, our defense budget is not a bottomless pit. So the army had wasted all that money to achieve absolutely fuck all. So the government just kind of built a really long, really shit fence around the farms and called it a day. How the fuck did we lose this? I could have done a better job with a boomerang and a cricket bat. I have been assaulted by a cow. One of the cows is called Monty, and he's an adolescent. And I made the mistake of turning around for like 5 seconds, and in that 5 seconds, this 500-kilo cow runs up behind me while I'm sorting out his food and tries to f***ing mount me. He nearly f***ing squished me. If I hadn't been hitting legs, I would have been squashed by a horny f***ing cow. This bird has to rearrange its organs and skeleton just to lay an egg. This
What?
cute little guy is the kiwi bird, a species of ratite native to New Zealand this time, and the absolute poster child for getting cucked by evolution. You see, this walking featherball is actually directly related to the emu, ostrich, and cassowary, being a member of the same family of flightless birds. However, there is a problem. You see, the rest of the kiwi's bloodline actually looked up a build guide before picking their stat spread, and as such made sure to trade the whole flying thing for something useful. With all of his cousins specking into speed, size, and some kind of offensive capability. So that leaves the question, what did the kiwi pick to make up for not flying? Absolutely f***ing nothing.
Cuteness. No.
Kiwis are tiny in comparison to their relatives, coming in at only 4 kilos in weight and 50 centimeters tall. This is because kiwis evolved largely on an island with no natural predators, so they downsized and traded out the knife feet and bloodlust for just being a little guy with a good attitude, which honestly worked pretty well for them, until the British did British things, and now they have to deal with cats and dogs trying to eat them. And considering this build was not designed for PvP, they have been clapped so hard by invasive species that they are now unfortunately an endangered animal. But getting shafted by the British is just the beginning of the generational violation of the kiwi, because these poor feathered fruits can't even reproduce without getting f***ed over. You see, the kiwi bird's cousins are famous for laying huge eggs. I'm talking hit your protein macros in one meal-sized eggs. And you would think that is because they are large. And you would be wrong. Because their vertically challenged cousins have to lay eggs the same size.
What?
A kiwi bird lays eggs 20% the size of their body.
Oh my God.
With the egg being so bloody large, it rearranges their internal organs and stretches their rib cage just to be able to hold the thing. For reference, that is like a human giving birth to a 15-kilo child. That's not a bun in the oven anymore. That's a whole f***ing bakery. There was a
either-
big ass
either-
huntsman that used to live in my house, and I'm gonna be.
So the cute things either get fucked by evolution or they're fucking venomous as hell or something.
Honest,
what I'm
dude,
getting.
I kind of just let him hang out.
He ain't f***ing small. I'll tell you that much. There's a huntsman, and they do. Ooh.
I was quite happy to let him just chill because I never saw a mosquito or a fly in that house. So he was paying rent in his own way, you know?
I would never fucking try that.
Scientists just de-extincted a 12,000-year-old dog. Well, kinda. You see, a bioengineering company called Colossal has dedicated itself to doing what every single Jurassic Park film has told us is a bad idea. Bringing back extinct species. And recently, they made a breakthrough. They have managed to bring back the 12,000-year-old direwolf. You know those big-ass puppies from Game of
Direwolf.
Thrones that the Starks had? Yeah, those were actually a real-ass animal, alive during the late Ice Age. And the best way I can describe them to you is, basically a wolf on steroids. Yeah, buddy! These things were bigger, faster, and stronger, estimated to have the highest bite force out of any canine. And in a move that I'm sure has no implications, they have managed to bring these bad boys back to life.
Oh my god.
These two little guys are now 6 months old and have been living on a private plot of land with 24/7 veterinary care. However, they've only just been shown off to the public, with the company going so far as to get a photo op with George R.R. Martin holding one of these adorable little killing machines.
Oh my God,
showing
you're
that man will
cute.
literally interact with an extinct species before he finishes that last f***ing book. There is, however, one small problem. This isn't technically a direwolf. You see, by merit of them being extinct, short of specking into necromancy, you can't exactly bring them back. Which is where this guy comes in. You see, the grey wolf shares 99.5% of its genetic code with the direwolf. So, using CRISPR gene editing, they basically toss the grey wolf back into the spore creator, then using the code found in direwolf fossils as a build guide, juiced the out of it, boosting the size slider and putting some extra points into strength, as well as adjusting its head shape and teeth. All in all, they made a total of 20 edits to 14 genes, producing the closest thing we can get to a direwolf short of time travel. Which is cool as f***. I give it 5 years before a man-made horror beyond comprehension breaks out of that f***ing lab and we are all playing Resident Evil. This bear was actually a soldier.
What?
But how? You see, it was 1942, and the 22nd Polish Artillery Company were passing through the mountains of Iran, on their way to the front lines to fight the Nazis. While passing through a town on their way, they were stopped by a young Iranian shepherd, looking to trade with them for rations and a Swiss Army knife. When the Poles asked what he had to offer in return, the young shepherd produced a burlap sack containing an orphaned Syrian brown bear
What?
cub.
Huh?
You see, this bear's mother was shot by hunters, which is how he ended up in a low-tech Pokeball being offered as a trade deal. The Polish looked at the bear and, clearly seeing the potential for insane dad lore, said,
Damn good deal.
and in the most worthwhile trade deal in history, parted ways with their supplies in exchange for a f***ing Pokemon, adopting him into their ranks and naming him Wojtek. And the 22nd immediately set about raising this little man as a proper bear and soldier.
Maggots!
As a baby, they would feed him condensed milk out of an empty vodka bottle, as well as feeding him on the cartoon bear diet consisting of fruit, honey, and marmalade. They also appointed a soldier as his caretaker, who wasted no time in showing Wojtek how to fit in with the rest of the army, teaching Yogi's little cousin to wave, salute, and even march. While not undergoing rigorous military training, Wojtek would hang out with the soldiers. He drank coffee with them in the morning, trained with them in the day, and when they all got shit-faced in the evening, he would f***ing wrestle with them. Do you know how much a brown bear has to love you to wrestle you? On top of double rations, they would also feed Wojtek treats in the form of beer and cigarettes.
Beer?
They let the bear have smoko. Eventually, Army High Command heard about this and were having absolutely none of it.
Fucking what?
You see, pets were not allowed in the army, which meant Wojtek had to go. Or did he? Because the 22nd Artillery Company officially enlisted him.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
Wojtek was given a serial number and granted the rank of private, so when confronted about the very conspicuous bear in their ranks, they simply went, "That's not a bear, that's Private Wojtek." And Wojtek took his new role very seriously, as during the Battle of Monte Cassino in 1944, Wojtek began using his boat to transport artillery shells and ammo to soldiers engaged in combat.
What?
They had a fucking resupply bear.
These are,
For his
these are
bravery,
fucking
he was
cute.
promoted to the rank of corporal, and the 22nd changed their insignia to a bear carrying an artillery
Oh my
shell.
God.
This absolute unit smoked, drank, and dropped artillery on the Nazis. Based.
W. It's no W for the fucking bear.
Australia has just found zombified bugs. That's right, we are closer to the Walking Dead Down Under than you think. You see, just recently, a scientist by the name of Dr. Francois Broussard made a trek out to the remote savannah of the Northern Territory, with the goal of finding and cataloguing brand new species of insect unknown to science. I mean, me personally, I think we found more than enough bugs, especially considering that half of them can send me directly into the fucking soil. But what do I know, right? Anyway, on his trip to the middle of nowhere, he stumbled across a colony of spiny savanna ants, which is a pretty normal thing to find out there. However, getting closer, he noticed something a little off. You see, the main ant colony was fine, completely normal. However, the several disfigured and deformed ant corpses clamped onto shoots of grass surrounding the colony like a Bug's Life version of Vlad the Inhaler. Yeah, those were significantly less normal. Broussard, mildly unsettled by the ant gore on his timeline, took samples for inspection and upon getting a closer look, realised something both really cool and really spooky. The ants had been overtaken by fungus.
Big old red ones.
More accurately, a previously unknown strain of the cordyceps fungus, infamous around the globe for its ability to create zombie bugs. And the way it does it is unbelievably horrific. You see, it begins with a spore landing on an ant and producing a thin rope-like strand that penetrates and attaches to their exoskeleton. At which point, the ant gets a little timer on his hotbar, counting down to a family reunion with his ancestors. Once inside, the fungus begins to take control of the ant's body and brain function, completely changing their behavior, replacing their colony-focused mindset with one single goal: climb. Its fungus-riddled mind drags its rapidly deteriorating body to the closest high point, which is usually a plant, with its final act being to clamp its mandibles onto the stem in a death grip, finally succumbing to the infection and being completely consumed, its corpse blossoming into a fully grown cordyceps fungus and raining down spores onto the rest of the colony to continue the cycle of infection. Now look, I know this fungus is found elsewhere in the world, but it's a new strain and it was found in Australia. With my luck, I'm going to be playing The Last of Us against couch-sized spiders within the fucking week. Who wins? 100 men or one gorilla? Well, to get your answer, we're going to have to look at our fighters for the most anticipated cage match of 2025. And in the red corner, standing at an impressive 6 feet tall and weighing a ridiculous 220 kilos, we have one singular silverback gorilla. Stepping into the ring to settle the score against humanity for what we did to Harambe, this fighter is bringing some impressive physical strength, capable of lifting up to 800 kilos of weight, meaning that if it gets its hands on you, a gorilla is more than capable of picking you up and doing you the same way that Hulk did Loki. Now, on top of being stronger than Eddie Hall, they also have an unreal reach advantage with a 2.6 meter wingspan, which is a fairly major problem because a right hook from a gorilla produces 2,700 pounds of force.
Oh, I think
To put that
it's a
into
gorilla.
perspective, the human skull shatters at 1,400. So if Winston hits you with a haymaker, your head is going to pop like a fucking watermelon. And with the cage fight
Nothing
following the
to
Mortal
gorilla.
Kombat rule set, we can also factor in the gorilla's bite. Because despite being a pretty gentle herbivore in the wild, they have one of the highest bite forces on the planet at 1,300 psi. That is 100 psi more than a polar bear. And now, with our fighter statistics out of the way, let's get down to business. Can our gorilla win a fight against the 100 average men in the blue corner? Place your bets. Let's see who comes out on top. Yeah, look, I'm going to keep it real with you. Even with those stats, Winston here is getting bodied. I'm sorry, he's going back to the spawn room. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Directly to hanging out with Harambe in heaven. 100 people. It's just too fucking many. He's getting jumped. However, not to say he's not going to take a few with him. My guess is one guy runs up and gets swatted across the cage like a toddler, shatters his ribs against the bars. Second guy gets grabbed by the leg and given the Hulk treatment. About 6 other guys cop swings to the head and die instantly from broken necks. One dumbass is probably going to try to hit him off the top rope and get done the same way that Omni-Man did Nightwing. But at that point, the crowd probably jumps in and realises that there are still about 90 of them and it's over. Not that the fight even needs to happen, but it wouldn't be the first time we lost a gorilla to human stupidity. This is the deadliest snake in the world. Introducing the inland taipan and being the
we've seen this one.
so names such green venomous thing of laps in two of the rat planet rabbit with a fucking orp.
That's the cute.
What's that? We've already seen that one.
Dolphins get drunk. But why? Well, you see, the dolphin is by far and away the smartest animal in the ocean. In fact, they're actually the second smartest thing on the planet, just behind you and me. This means they are smart enough to understand that the ideal way to spend your night is more plastered than Chad and Max on your average Cold Ones episode. There is just one problem. Last I checked, there's no bottle-o in Bikini Bottom. So how does a dolphin get fired for all? Simple. They abuse pufferfish. You see, due to the lack of underwater alcohol, dolphins need to find other ways to get their fix, which is where SpongeBob's driving instructor comes in. You see, pufferfish contain this really cool and totally not dangerous substance called tetrodotoxin. What is tetrodotoxin? You know, it's only one of the most potent natural neurotoxins. This will freeze your heart and lungs in under an hour with a tiny dose. And it's the reason why cooking a pufferfish requires a dexterity check so you don't, hit the poison gland and get yourself deleted. Now, puffers carry this as a defense mechanism as poison accumulates in their organs and skin. Why is that important? Well, you see, I kind of lied. Dolphins don't get drunk. They get high on neurotoxin.
¿Quieres?
Pods of dolphins will bully pufferfish until they inflate, then partake in a literal puff-puff pass. By lightly squeezing the puffer in their mouth, they receive a small dose of neurotoxin, which has a narcotic effect, allowing Flipper here to trip balls before passing the unhappy basketball onto the next submarine stoner. Flipper and friends saw the deadliest neurotoxin on the planet and said, "Fuck it, let me try some of that."
Alright, let's see what this one's all about.
Do you enjoy playing support? Do you like the idea of being just the...
This isn't Australian. There is something about an
cutest little guy on the team.
What's this one?
Do you delight in the screams of your enemies as you consume their flesh and drag them to the depths of hell? If that sounds like your cup of tea, then Jeff the Land Shark is for you. So let me give you a little quick start guide so you can get out there.
I did main Jeff back when I played Marvel Rivals. I mean, just look at this little guy.
There and start raising the blood pressure of the enemy team. First up, bread and butter, primary fire and secondary fire. This primary fire is what I like to call the piss beam. Provides a steady stream of healing to allies, has a pretty impressive
Sounds
range,
about
and
right.
most importantly looks really fucking silly when you just kind of wave it around like a wet noodle. Your secondary fire is the old Hawk Tour, minus the crypto rug pull. Jeff spits a gulp of water at the enemy, dealing not only a solid amount of direct damage, but splash damage as well, because apparently this little gremlin spit is laced with high explosive. Basics out of the way, onto his abilities. First up is passive, which basically just means that he takes less damage from critical hits, purely because he is too stupid to realise he's been domed. And now moving on to his active abilities, we have his E. Jeff spits out a bubble, granting an instant burst of healing and even providing a speed boost, meaning we can add cocaine to the list of illicit substances that can be found in this gremlin spit. These bubbles can be spat directly onto allies or left on the ground for later use. However, the second these hit the ground, be aware, your DPS will lose the ability to perceive them, die with one right in front of their face, and then blame that on you. This ability is one of your most important, as without it, your healing output is genuinely fucking dog shit. Moving on to your shift, this ability is what will prevent your conveniently football-shaped body from being drop-kicked into a field goal by Iron Fist whenever he dives you. Jeff dives into the floor, drastically reducing his hitbox, increasing his move speed, and healing him while it's active. You can also, for some reason, swim directly up walls, but it's fine, physics aren't something we really need to pay attention to. This is your main anti-dive ability, but be warned, while diving you cannot contest objectives. So remember this to avoid C9ing and throwing the entire fucking game. Finally, the objectively funniest part of his kit, his up. After a brief delay, Jeff consumes everyone in a large circle, allies included. He can then swim around with them in his stomach for a max of 6 seconds, dealing tick damage to enemies. At any point during this time, Jeff can spit his enemies or allies out, launching them in the direction he's aiming. This means that you can eat the entire enemy team, paddle your way over to the nearest cliff, and then spit them directly into the abyss. However, mobile characters can escape this with dashes or flight. So to ensure a kill, I follow the words of wisdom passed on to me by your mother. Spitters are quitters.
Yeah.
Here is how Santa gets around the world in one night. First and foremost, there's no way anyone's operating the sleigh sober. Fuck that. But here's the most important thing. Santa has a device. Santa's patented sleigh device. So now I feel like I can operate a sleigh. Alrighty, you ungrateful little cunts, I'm delivering you fucking Christmas presents. Oh, I can indicate. I forgot I had those. Now, if any of you ungrateful little cunts complain about what you got for Christmas, next time I come down that chimney... This is the world's oldest shark.
We got a boomer!
But how old actually is it? This absolute fossil over here is the Greenland shark. And this may come as a shock to you, but the Greenland shark is found in fucking Greenland, man. And with Grandpa Shark here coming in at a fucking kaiju size, 6 meters in length, and a literal fucking ton in weight, this senior citizen probably worked with Godzilla back in his fucking day. But how senior is senior? Well, you might be expecting me to say something along the lines of, 100 years, maybe 150 years, right? Try higher. No, not 200.
300?
Close, but not 300 either.
Chocolate.
No, the Greenland shark can live up to 500 fucking years.
Okay,
I don't think you understand how old that is. So, to put it in perspective, this is Bob. Bob has just turned 500.
Bob.
Here is a list of things this has lived through. All 8 of King Henry's divorces. The invention of chocolate.
I remember when they first invented chocolate.
Shakespeare's entire lifespan. The Boston Tea Party. The signing of the Declaration of Independence and the founding of the United States. The colonization of Australia. The Industrial fucking Revolution. The invention of the light bulb and adoption of electricity. The Titanic becoming a submarine. World War I. The Great Depression. World War II. The Vietnam War. The fucking moon landing and the invention of the internet. The first episode of SpongeBob. Schlatt's Crimes in 99. 2001. The invasion of Iraq. The global financial crisis. The death of Harambe. Australia catching fire.
What?
The virus. And it's still with us today to watch fucking TikTok.
Okay, so as the
What the fuck did I just watch? What? Kangaroos, Jesus, what the fuck? I'm gonna need an explanation, Mr. Aussie guy.
Aussie animal guy, I feel like I might owe you an explanation for this one. That is a normal fucking Roo. No, he is not Roosus Christ. He's not the second coming, and he's not gonna turn your water into wine. Alright, he might turn it into VB if you ask nice.
Hey.
But if that's the case, how the fuck is he stealing the Son of God's passive? Well, the answer is fucking sand.
I don't like sand.
Yeah, you see, what's far
What
more
the fuck
likely than a
sand?
Roo being enchanted with water walking is that he's actually running on a sandbar. That is basically just a fancy description for ocean currents piling up a shitload of sand into one place, creating an offshore segment of the water that's not much deeper than a fucking kid's pool. Now, Roos know about sandbars, and they actually very frequently use them as a shortcut to get from A to B to find more food. So, while it looks like Skippy here is stealing Jesus' entire fucking flow, he's actually on a Macca's mish.
Let me get a...
You know what? I'm just gonna stream now.